So Ferrari's much anticipated, highly acclaimed, newest wicked hypercar is here, and it is the F80. And today we're going to talk about where it came from, quite a bit of the features on it, what it can do, and stick around to the end, and I'll give you my opinion on why I don't think this thing is going to hit its full potential when it comes to the consumer market. And that's just my opinion. But really appreciate you being here today. My name is Jason. I'm the GI Car Guy. Thank you for your support. Thank you for checking out my channel. If you like what I'm doing here, do me a favor. Look down real quick. Hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. Drop me a like, and I really appreciate that. It helps me out a lot. And with that being said, let's get into the video. Before we get into the F80, we got to talk about a few of the cars that paved the way for this monster, starting with none other than the F40. And the F40 was produced from 1987 to 1992, and it was designed to celebrate Ferrari's 40th anniversary as a road car manufacturer, and was the last vehicle personally approved by Enzo Ferrari. The F40 was Ferrari's fastest and most powerful car at the time. It had a 2.9 liter twin turbocharged V8 that produced almost 480 horsepower. Not monstrous by today's standards, but back in the late 80s, that was a pretty huge number. It hit 60 miles per hour in 3.8 seconds. It topped out at 201 miles per hour. In fact, the F40 was the first street legal car to break the 200 mile per hour barrier. Only 1,315 F40s were ever produced, making them quite rare. It was the most expensive Ferrari at the time. It was originally listed for right at about $400,000. That's over $1 million in today's money. This year in 2024, a 1990 F40 sold at auction for $3.36 million. Quite the return. The next Ferrari in line that the F80 takes inspiration from is the F50. The F50 was produced from 1995 to 1997 to celebrate Ferrari's 50th anniversary. At the time, it was considered the closest thing Ferrari had ever built to a road-ready Formula One car. With that being said, the F50 was designed without many of the creature comforts one would expect from a Ferrari in the mid-90s. This meant no power steering, ABS, or traction control. While the previous F40 was powered by a 3.8 liter twin-turboed V8, the F50 was powered by a naturally aspirated 4.7 liter V12 developed from the 3.5 liter V12 driving the 1990 Ferrari 641 Formula One car. The 512 horses pushed it to 60 in 3.8 seconds and pegged it at 202 miles per hour, just narrowly beating out the F40. The F50 was even more rare than the F40, with only 349 ever produced. When it debuted in 1995, it started at roughly $475,000, $1.2 million in today's money. In August of this year, 2024, a 95 F50 sold at auction for about $5.5 million. This set a new world record for this model. All right, so one of the big changes with the F80 is the fact that unlike its predecessors, the F50, The Enzo and the LaFerrari, it doesn't have a giant V12, but rather a hybridized 3-liter V6. However, don't let the idea of a V6 and a once-in-a-decade Ferrari sway you. The V6 hybrid is incredibly complex and ridiculously powerful. The combustion side of the equation puts out 887 horses, truly a remarkable feat coming from a V6. The electric side cranks out another 296 horsepower, bringing total output to 1,183 horses. The electric motors that Ferrari is using in the F80 come straight from Formula One. The MGU-K, or Motor Generator Unit Kinetic, is attached to the crankshaft and helps supply torque while under acceleration. It also helps recharge the battery on the hybrid system as well as provide more resistance while braking. The MGU-H, or Motor Generator Unit Heat, are small motors that sit between the turbine and the compressor within the twin turbos. When the magnets inside the MGU-H's spin, they create energy that's sent to the battery. They also step in to power up the turbines faster, which, as anybody can tell you that knows turbos, this helps eliminate turbo lag during lulls. The F80 has an electrified front axle utilizing 2 motors, one for each wheel. This ability allows for torque vectoring and all-wheel drive, something the new McLaren W1 does not have. As a side note, the W1 is about 275 pounds lighter than the F80. The F80 utilizes plenty of active aero, including a front triplane wing, an S-duct, a rear diffuser, and an active rear wing. The rear wing deploys based on the car's control systems. It will measure and process acceleration, speed, and steering angle in real time to determine the optimal wing position. The level of adjustment is infinite between the high downforce position used in braking and cornering and the low drag position used for straight line speed. There's really so much to talk about with the exterior, but the short version is that the F80 is designed to optimize airflow around the vehicle in ways that directs airflow up and through the S-duct, around the windscreen, and into an air channel designed into the upper door. This action feeds air directly into the intake. The other purpose of the F80's form is to create an area of low pressure under the vehicle as well as incredible downforce to help with stability. At 155 miles per hour, the F80 creates just over 2,200 pounds of bone and car-crushing downforce, seriously planing this thing to the road. Again, there's so much to talk about with the design. If you want to know more, check out the Prancing Ponies website. They really go into much more depth on this topic. As we get to the interior and probably the most controversial aspect of the F80, we see a cockpit design that Ferrari calls the One Plus. But quickly, let's talk about the chassis. It's been newly designed using several materials, including T800 carbon fiber, composites, and aluminum. Developing new manufacturing techniques allows the carbon fiber castings to be 50% stiffer than the LaFerrari, which is in itself seriously impressive. At first glance, you immediately notice how driver-centric the cockpit is. In fact, it was initially pitched as a one-seater, but was overturned by the marketing department. Thank God. With the idea of a One Plus design, the snug space envelops its passengers, focusing mainly on the driver with a fully adjustable seat. The passenger seat seems to almost disappear with how well it is integrated with the interior trim. It's also narrower and pushed slightly behind the driver's position. The newly designed steering wheel has a flat top and bottom design and revisits the use of physical buttons again, leaving haptic touch behind. It contains the standard supercar buttons, toggle switches, and knobs that change the screen, display, and driving mode adjustments. And of course, it sports large carbon fiber shift paddles. What's really unreal is that this monster has lane assist and adaptive cruise control because modern technology. If that isn't enough, Ferrari boasts a dedicated storage space between the headrests for an overnight bag. I guess I can start planning a road trip in my F80 once it's delivered. All wishful dreams aside, here are the F80's staggering numbers. Ferrari claims 0 to 62 miles per hour in 2.1 seconds and to 124 in just 5.7 seconds. The price tag of this monster, yeah, $4 million. And even if you are fortunate enough to drop this kind of coin on a car, albeit a very beautiful and very fast one, all 799 being produced are already spoken for by Ferrari's top tier customers. If I just dashed someone's dream, I'm truly sorry. I personally think the F80 is stunning in its engineering. Ferrari is really pushing the boundaries of what's possible with a V6, even if what they say it's going to sound like isn't all that impressive, in my opinion. What is impressive is all the tech, software, and aero that's being dumped into this thing to allow it to remain planted and under control through curves at breakneck speeds. And in reality, I think that's the ironic part of owning a supercar like this. Who the hell is actually going to drive this thing like it's designed to be driven? I mean, sure, who wouldn't want to be smacking the paddle shifters back and forth, diving into the corners, or blasting down the straights of a track like the Nürburgring? I'd like to say I would, but if it was my $4 million piece of rolling art, would I really be so willing to push this thing to its limits? Probably not. I can only imagine what it would feel like totaling one of these, and it ain't awesome. That's for sure. These things will sadly spend most of their time in climate-controlled garages and only driven to a Ferrari dealership from time to time or run an errand down the street. And that's okay. When manufacturers push the limits of what they can do with spaceships masquerading as cars, we, the car lovers, marvel at what the future vehicles might be. Thanks for watching till the end. I really appreciate everyone's support more than you know. If you like what you saw, please hit that subscribe button and drop me a like. Remember, stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Intention about you staggering